All of your filtration in one system, portable, on the go. No more do you have 2 or 3 filters to just reduce sodium fluoride. You have a system that cuts out the sodium fluoride and up to 95% of hydrofluorosilicic acid. Advanced manufacturing technology combines silver-impregnated white ceramic with new Aquamedics advanced media for removal of fluoride and other heavy metals, all in one filter element. It is the only one that does it, and out of the gates, we have it discounted at 10% off with promo code WATER. This is the only system that in one unit helps reduce or remove pesticides, herbicides, chloramines, ammonia, and chlorine, hydrofluorosilicic acid, the most common form of fluoride not covered by other fluoride filter brands, and sodium hexafluorosilicate. Get your Pro Pure with the new Pro One filters today at InfoWarsStore.com or by calling 888-253-3139. The facts are in. The studies are legion. Sodium fluoride and other toxic members of the fluoride family are devastating the health and cognitive ability of the American people. So why are the social engineers adding it to the water? Simple. Dumb down the host population that the parasitic technocracy is feeding on. We may not have been able to get fluoride out of the water supply yet, but we can help to get it out of our bodies. I am extremely excited to announce the exclusive InfoWars Life Fluoride Shield formulation, fusing 6 of the best documented ingredients from around the world to help the body remove not just toxic fluoride residues from the body, but a whole host of toxic substances. Let's take a stand against the globalists by blocking their poisons with Fluoride Shield. I use Fluoride Shield every day. Secure your Fluoride Shield and other pioneering formulations at InfoWarsLife.com today. Let's start cleansing our bodies now and support the InfoWar at the same time. That's InfoWarsLife.com. Hi folks, Alex Jones here with some important information. I want to tell you about Matt Redhawk and his team of patriots over at My Patriot Supply. Several years ago, Matt was sitting in his 2-bedroom apartment, frustrated with the direction this country was headed and the charlatans willing to sell us out for a quick buck. Deciding to take action, a company run by patriots for patriots was born. My Patriot Supply has never taken a loan or accepted outside funding. They now operate 2 distribution facilities and employ over 50 hardworking American men and women. It is rare to find companies who practice what they preach. And that's why I stock my pantry with high-quality storable foods from My Patriot Supply. Go to mypatriotsupply.com/Alex today for special offers on emergency food storage, or call their preparedness specialist at 866-229-0927. That's 866-229-0927. Do business with someone who shares your values. mypatriotsupply.com/Alex.
Coast to coast. Direct from Austin, you're listening to the Alex Jones Broadcasting Network.
Big Brother, mainstream media, government cover-ups. You want answers? Well, so does he. Live from Austin, Texas, broadcasting worldwide, it's Alex Jones.
Coming to you live from deep in the heart of Texas. Want to just say I love my great crew coming in here every Sunday, 4 to 6 p.m. Central. We're back weekdays, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Central with a weekday transmission. Find the free podcast, the free audio, video feeds, everything at Infowars.com in the listen section, as well as PrisonPlanet.com or Infowars.com/show. You can see our subscriber site with all my films, the nightly news, 7 o'clock weeknights, and more at PrisonPlanet.tv or InfoWarsNews.com. Again, thank you so much for joining us. I want to give the phone number out now before I get into the internet takeover by the UN. So in the next segment, we can start opening the phones up. Now, quite frankly, most people worldwide don't study geopolitics, but Americans in international studies, you can look this up, have the lowest level of passports of any major country. Most countries, people have 60, 70% passports. Americans, it's 35% last time I checked, have a passport. Most Americans cannot even name their neighboring state's capital, or even their capital in many cases. Most high school graduates cannot name any of the founding fathers. I mean, you see those university studies every year where, 1/5 of Americans think the Earth is the center of the universe, stuff like that. So I'm not putting down my fellow Americans. It's just we kind of live in a bubble, our own culture. And our culture has been dominant for a long time because the world saw it as superior. They admired the 1776 culture. Now, we've replaced that culture with a Hollywood culture, which the world now sees as toxic, because it is. But every few weeks, I like to open the phones up for veterans or active duty military, because the mainstream media likes to say the military is full of idiots. They like to say military intelligence is an oxymoron. They like to say that the military are fools and things like that. And undoubtedly, recruiters do go out sometimes to get infantry troops from farms and places and foster homes where folks might not have the highest IQs or had the best opportunities. But I will tell you that, hands down, unequivocally, no ifs, ands, or buts, the number one group that's the most informed geopolitically, the most informed about the way things work, the most savvy about liberty, and the people that'll come that if you're at 3 a.m. if you need your tire changed and you can't and don't have a spare, or if you need somebody to come help you move houses, or you need somebody to come to your aid or whatever, or you need somebody you can give $100,000 to and get it back from them in 10 years, and it's all going to be there. It would be a military veteran. And that's why I discriminate against the audience a lot, even though I'm not a military veteran, and say I'm opening the phones up today. I do this every few weeks for just veterans or active duty. Because quite frankly, I don't want to discuss Ukraine with the average American. The average American doesn't even know where it is. The average American doesn't even care. I open the phones up for veterans and active duty. They'll know all about it. They'll know about the bases. They'll know about the pipelines. They'll know about what planes got shipped over there. They'll know about what Putin's doing, because they're informed. They're into that. They're not watching football all day. They are actually studying geopolitics because they're into it, because they've been all over the world. That's why I want to get their take coming up in the next segment on this situation. Do you disagree with what I've said in the last segment? What do you think of the F-16s, the F-18s, the F-15s, the AWACS, and the NATO Special Forces massing all over Ukraine to back up with electronic warfare and other systems, the 1 million-man reserve army of the Ukrainians, and the 200,000 Russians pouring in to the area that's now voted? Reuters just reported up from 95% exit polls, and they've got Western exit pollers there, Fox News, CNN. They're getting 95% saying they have voted to join Mother Russia. And Kerry said Friday, ultimatum, there will be military and/or sanctions if you don't pull out of Ukraine. Pull out of that area in Ukraine, formerly part of Ukraine, Crimea. Before that, formerly part of Russia. 95% have now voted in exit polls, up from 93 an hour ago. And the Russians are not backing off. They're pouring weapons in, and NATO's pouring weapons in. Now, the best case scenario is now they just create a new demilitarized zone along the Crimean border, and a new Cold War starts. That's a best case scenario here. With U.S. warships entering the area, it's just really bad. The bad scenarios run from bad to worse, obviously, and I'd like to talk to the military about that. I'm sure you know what the scenarios are, and you can add and augment my deep civilian research of this from publications, military publications, and civilian publications. But this has all the looks of something that is designed to actually go hot. And they did this before in 2008 and blinked. So maybe they're not going to blink this time. Or what is the goal here? Because the word is, and this is what I said 3 weeks ago, if they mass troops up against the Crimean Russian-held area, the Russians are going to pour in. They're going to open fire, just like in Georgia. They're going to have a huge battle with the Ukrainians. And all hell is going to break loose. It'll be, I would say, 20 times worse than Georgia. 20 times worse, conservatively. And they're going to push all the way to the river and Kiev, and probably take Kiev, and then break the country in two. Or they might stop and split that country in two, or that capital city in two, just like they did with Germany at the end of World War II, just like the Russians and the Nazis did with Poland during their one-year deal before Hitler double-crossed the Russians. I mean, geopolitically, folks, this is how history goes. Humans do the same thing over and over again. And this time, though, the Russians are going to pour in heavy armor and attack helicopters. And if NATO tries to assist, the Russians will come out with a press conference, and they will say, We've rolled mobile nuke launchers in. And we're going to start firing on NATO bases in 1 hour. By the way, that was not in the U.S. news in 2008 when that happened, when the Olympics started. They always do it thinking the Russians will back off during the Olympics, because Putin was at the Olympics. This time they host the Olympics. They launched the overthrow of Ukraine during the Olympics. I want your take on this because, I mean, quite frankly, really, if I was a selfish man, I'd be going and grabbing my kids and going, you know, to via strategic relocation, an area not targeted militarily by nuke strikes. And it doesn't mean I think this is going to happen, but it's kind of like we got 10 cards in our hand. And we've got to shuffle them in the dark and turn the light on and see which one we've got. I mean, this is literally Russian roulette right now. In fact, this whole segment should be called thermal-nuclear Russian roulette. Because that's what it is. You got like 10 rounds in the cylinder. They got pistols like that, by the way. I got a 22 like that. I wouldn't say it's 1 out of 6. I'd say it's about 1 out of 10. And I'm trying to be conservative here. It might be 2 out of 10, folks. This is so horrible. And they're just rolling the chamber. And every chamber's got a bullet in it. It just, is it divide the country in half? Does NATO back off and just, I mean, NATO just took all of Ukraine for the euro. I mean, they just took all the country, so the Russians came in and got their military ports, military bases, and gas pipelines they own that they supply Europe with. Russia took a tiny part of the country, like 6-7%. NATO just took 93%. And they're going, how dare you, Russia? You know, Putin's a bad guy. And I get people calling me, emails, comments, going, Alex, why are you a Ruski commie? Why are you for Russia? I'm not for Russia. But NATO is run by the globalists. NATO's run by the EU. George Soros is in there quarterbacking this whole thing with John Kerry, for heaven's sakes. Hillary Clinton's talking about military operations. John McCain wants military strikes on Russian targets. I got video on Infowars.com where this madman is over there stirring up the opposition 6 months ago to start this, giving him billions of State Department money, and now he's back on the news saying we need to back them up militarily. This is horrible. The Russians learned with their allies, the Serbs, when they gave the Muslims 1/3 of Serbia, with the bombardment of DU of the nation, that appeasing NATO only makes them invade more. So I want to hear from military when we come back, and then I'll get to the UN takeover of the internet later in the next hour. This is too important. Let's give the number out. It's 877-789-ALEX. That's the Sunday-centric number. It's a different number during the weekday show. 877-789-ALEX. 877-789-2539. And if you're not active duty or veteran that wants to comment, if you're overseas in Ukraine or Russia, I want to hear from you as well. Why does the United States spend the largest percentage of GDP in the world on healthcare? Why do we have the highest cancer rates on the planet, the highest rates of diabetes, autism, and every other major disease? It all comes down to one thing. We are what we eat. Our food is devoid of nutrition and processed with poisons and additives. Our water is filled with toxic poisons and big pharma runoff. All of this has been engineered by design. We can turn the tide against the eugenicist by giving ourselves the nutrients our body desperately needs. To learn more, visit InfoWarsHealth.com. The site is literally packed with audio and video featuring top health professionals who don't bow down to big pharma. The fight against the New World Order starts with you, and you can't stand against the machine if you're sick, tired, and obese. When you visit InfoWarsHealth.com, be sure and check out the catalog with nearly 400 life-changing products, and get free shipping when you sign up for AutoShip. In the last 50 years, iodine has been phased out of our staple foods and replaced with the halogen bromine, a practice now banned in nations around the world. Guess what else is in the halogen family? Fluoride. Ladies and gentlemen, Alex Jones here. In 1924, the federal government did the right thing and encouraged salt producers to add iodine. It's the good halogen on the periodic table, and the results are on record. Reports documented a 15-point IQ increase in areas that had previously been deficient in iodine. Bottom line, iodine is important. Unbound, clean, in a glycerin base. Nascent iodine was the answer for myself and my family. You will find Survival Shield Nascent Iodine exclusively at InfoWarsLife.com. InfoWars Life Survival Shield Nascent Iodine isn't just for emergencies. I take it every day. That's InfoWarsLife.com or call toll-free 888-253-3139. Introducing Pro One. All of